Welcome back, everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. Today I'm doing another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 cast. I just cast a game with this guy, the red Protoss, spawning up in the top left-hand side of the map, Bel'Shir Vestige. It is PiLiPiLi playing for Team Psystorm. Just getting into this game right away as PiLiPiLi is going to be taking on another Zerg player here. This time, a very scary Zerg player. In the blue, it is Liquid Snute. So PiLiPiLi going to be taking on another great Zerg player. Last time I cast him, he managed to bring down Jon Snow, sort of just by reacting properly and then going for the late game Protoss. So we're going to see how it works versus Snute. The map is Bel'Shir Vestige here. Now, I believe I said Snute was on Team Liquid. Just going to say that as I'd feel a bit guilty if I didn't. So yeah, Snute, a very solid Zerg player on Team Liquid, just going for a standard hatchery first. Now, if you look at this map, this is another one of the new maps that was added in the ladder season that recently came up. So these are some of the first replays that are going to be played on these maps. Now, if you look at this map, and if you played Starcraft towards the start of Legacy of the Void, or just a few months ago really, what you're going to see is that this map is very similar to Apotheosis. Now, Apotheosis was not a friendly map to Protoss players for one reason, well, for a few reasons. There's a lot of different attack paths. The third base is relatively easy to defend, and there's all these places which Zergs can go for run-bys, things like that. And there was also a gold base on Apotheosis, but that's a bit different. But regardless, if you look at this map, it is very similar to Apotheosis, so we're going to see how it plays out. Of course, the meta and the balance is different, so it's going to be hard to say. I just wanted to sort of mention that. So we have Snute's Overlord moving in here, just going to sort of get the scout off there. And PiLiPiLi also went in with a probe scout, so he knows exactly what Snute's up to. He sort of saw everything that he needed to see. I don't think that probe was lost. I hope not. No, that probe's alive right in front of my face as I'm checking the unit's lost tab. So the probe is still alive for PiLiPiLi here. And it's just moving out. It's looking to block the third base, it looks like, for Snute. And Snute is actually going to be going for that, so that will be a nuisance for Snute, as he will have to deal with this probe that's going to try and block him as long as he can. PiLiPiLi going for a very fast Twilight Council, got that double gas up, just going for a wall at the front here. It is a fairly big gap, so we'll possibly see whether Snute goes for run-bys or things later on, but a good Protoss like PiLiPiLi will probably wall it off just fine. And actually going for a pylon block here, stopping Snute from securing that quicker expansion. Going to be forcing Snute to take this other base here. And now we actually see an adept for PiLiPiLi moving in, trying to get some of these drones, chasing after them. Doesn't actually get one, I believe. No, not a drone goes down, but the adept stayed alive, so just poking in. PiLiPiLi wanting to get something done. Just going to start shaving off a ling or two, so he will get one or two of those, and then it is going to teleport out of there. So this pylon is eventually going to get picked off. Not really a big deal. PiLiPiLi hasn't yet confirmed whether that base was taken by Snute, but Snute did end up taking that base, so it might sort of change how he plays a little bit. For now, though, it looks like PiLiPiLi is going to be going for a large adept attack here. This is one of the builds that Protoss players are not afraid to throw out from time to time. Basically, the Protoss player will just get Resonating Glaives, go for a large attack, and try to overwhelm the Zerg player. Now we're going to see how this is going to work out for Snute, as Snute sort of was forced to take the base. It's a little bit closer to PiLiPiLi. The adepts will be able to bounce sort of back and forth with more ease, it looks like, but Snute is getting that Roach Warren, so it's not like it's just going to be Lings getting slaughtered by adepts here. But Snute is a bit in the dark. He's not really aware of this, but he did actually just recently come in with an Overlord, so never mind. He's completely aware of this. Robo going up for PiLiPiLi, gonna be making a Warp Prism, assumably, just warping in as many adepts as he can. That's one thing Protoss players like to do with these attacks, so they don't have to sort of make tons of gateways so they can warp in all at once. Slowly building up that scary adept count. Now it looks like Snute might try to go for a bit of a counterattack, but these Lings are sort of forced. PiLiPiLi does have a probe there, gets a pylon off up in time. Very well done by PiLiPiLi, so now Snute's only option is to defend here. These adepts, though, there is a large roach count for Snute. Now, these adepts have resonating glaives. They can tear through roaches fairly quickly, but this is a large number of roaches here for PiLiPiLi. So he is just going to shade into the third base of Snute. Now, once again, this third base that Snute was forced to take, going to lose that queen very quickly. These Adepts just shredding through that queen, picking off a few lings, going to get some drones, and then shade on out of there once again. Only 3 drones down so far, though, and these Adepts are going to, a few of them are going to go down. So not the most damage for PiLiPiLi. He's thrown up at third base. This wasn't the largest commitment in the world here. Oh, whoops. Wrong hotkey. Pardon me there. So we jump back in time about 7 seconds. So we have this Warp Prism going to be coming out to PiLiPiLi. He's going to try and keep getting harassment damage. And as these resonating glaives Adepts have such mobility while this third base gets up. But Snute is fully aware of this third base. So PiLiPiLi is going to have to be careful in that regard. Getting pylons up for the defense, very important. Building up an immortal count here. Well, just no immortals yet. But hopefully for PiLiPiLi, he'll have an immortal count to deal with Roaches and Ravagers. Right now, he does just have Adepts, and these Adepts are actually going to be caught out by these Roaches and Ravagers. Going to lose one of them, and now we force back. It's going to be up to these Sentries, Adepts, and Mothership Core to hold this off. But Snute is actually going to back off, but no, there's a massive Ling run by heading towards the third base of PiLiPiLi here. So PiLiPiLi is going to be in a very tough situation. He is going to lose these pawns, so the Nexus is forced to cancel. Meanwhile, PiLiPiLi going for some Adept counter harassment. This could actually be very significant damage here. Snute does only have a feeling to deal with these Adepts starting to shade off workers here and now heading towards the main base. So these drones will not be safe. These Adept, there's a few Lings there to help deal with this. There's 4 callers working in, but those aren't going to help with these Adepts. PiLiPiLi microing these Adepts very well. Starting to pick off as many drones as he can. Getting 10 drones here, very significant loss. PiLiPiLi not in the best situation, losing that third base, but this is a great move to sort of help him stay in this game. His Adept killing off 15 drones in total that attacked his PiLiPiLi, getting all that damage done. And look at this, another Warpin is ready here. So PiLiPiLi's ahead on workers. Snute has that third base, which is significant. An Overlord flying over, getting tickled by those sentries, actually going to survive there. 2 Immortals and a third on the way for PiLiPiLi though. And both players don't have any upgrades on the way, and we see more Adept harassment. More drones are going to go down here. Not too many, but as that count gets lower and lower, each loss is more and more significant. This one Adept though is going to meet its fate. So PiLiPiLi, he's floating a large amount of minerals, so he is going to want to invest into a third base. He's built up a scary immortal count. He's got stalkers, sentries with high energy. He might just go for an all-in attack here, and it looks like this is what PiLiPiLi's opting to do. He's got so many minerals, so he is going to need to spend all his Warpins right away. He does have this Warp Prism. He kept it alive, didn't lose it or anything like that. So now he is just going to be able to warp in more units, and he's going to be able to go for a very scary attack. Snute seems to be aware of this attack here, as he is making just Lings right now, but there is Resonating Glaives Adepts, there's Force Fields, which will be very effective versus these units. There is a good Roach and Ravager count, so it might be tough for PiLiPiLi to make this attack work, but he's building up that Adept count. Army supply is evening up, and this is going to be... Snoot's going to have to take a fight, and it might be difficult versus this cost-efficient army of PiLiPiLi. These Force Fields going down, Ravagers raining them down, but picking off a few of the units here at the front is PiLiPiLi. These Adepts are going to want to shade at some point to avoid just clenching up. And there we go, PiLiPiLi throwing up shades. We're going to see whether he'll cancel that. Yes, he will. Not ready to make a commitment yet right now, but he's keeping the pressure on Snute. Not eating any corrosive vials. Very well done by PiLiPiLi. Warping in more sentries here, getting more force fields off, and he's actually going to kill off this third base for Snute. Very well done by PiLiPiLi here. So PiLiPiLi, he's kept this army alive. He's equaled up the base count, so as far as I'm concerned, he's done the damage he needs to. This army, though, always has potential for more damage. These queens getting caught off guard. This ramp being force field is very well done by PiLiPiLi, getting out more and more of those queens, and now he's actually ahead in the army supply. He's sort of ahead by all means. Killed off that base. He got what he needed to do. The question is, will he be able to kill Snute, or will Snute stay alive in this game and possibly be able to go for a counterattack? Baneling's morphing in for Snute, but they're not done in time. And PiLiPiLi's Adepts just shaded right on top of his army. However, there is corrosive bound raining down, but the majority of PiLiPiLi's army at the back stayed alive. The Adepts did all go down, but the Immortals are still alive. The Stalkers and the Warp Prism are warping in more units, so Snute has fallen in army supply. Both players lost a great deal. Snute is reinforcing as much as he can, but he doesn't have that third hatch. He's floating a bit of minerals here, so Snute is in trouble, and PiLiPiLi decided it looks like he's going to pull back, but no, he's warping in more units, just pulling back for a second before he decides to go for another attack, it looks like. Snute throwing up a new third base here. This is how he's going to try to come back into this game, hold PiLiPiLi off. He's got these Ravagers, but PiLiPiLi coming in for quite a good angle. These Ravagers are off creep right now. This force field could be very critical. One Baneling trying to get a connection. It connects with a few of the sentries, but no major damage done. PiLiPiLi eating a few throws with balls, but nothing too major yet. The adept count, though, is fairly low, so not too much tanking in PiLiPiLi's army right now, but he's up on army supply. He's trying to break through here. These adepts are once again seemingly going to try and shade on top of this army, and it looks like he's going to commit. No, he cancels at the last second there. Snute's producing as much as he can. PiLiPiLi, though, hasn't managed to break through yet. More Banelings morphing in for Snute. There is sorry, Roly Banelings. There's no Roly Banelings. I can't remember the upgrade name. That's embarrassing. But, Centrifugal Hooks, that's the one. But, so this third base is going to be picked off as these Banelings seem sort of to be pulled back and sniped by PiLiPiLi. And this third base, Snute's holding on to it, but right now he doesn't have much to buffer for these Ravagers. It's just a handful of Ravagers, which is a very scary army of PiLiPiLi. Fighting no massive Baneling connections or huge corrosive battles, but there is a fairly large corrosive battle hit there. A lot of these sentries very, very weak. And Snute's just bombarding constantly. PiLiPiLi is having a hard time pushing through this. These adepts are going to shade forward, though. Possibly just going to commit right on top of his army and say, that's it. He's pushing in, and he actually does. He commits on top of these Roaches and Ravagers. These Ravagers don't really have too much to buffer for them. They're weak. They're getting picked off very quickly here. But PiLiPiLi has lost a lot of his buffer right now, but there's more adepts. And it seems that PiLiPiLi is just going to push through and kill Snute right now. The third base is going to be ransacked. Snute abandoning, pulling back, trying to hang on for another defense, but PiLiPiLi's just pushing in. These Banelings morphing in. There's not much that Snute can do at this point, though. Units being picked off. This one Roach not looking too good for him, and now Snute's got a handful of Banelings. There's not much he can do, though, as these Immortals, PiLiPiLi kept a lot of these critical units alive, these sentries, these Immortals, and he just played so cost efficient here this game. Snute losing far more resources than PiLiPiLi in this game, and when it came down to a situation, both these players weren't in a steady macro situation, just PiLiPiLi edged his way out in this game. Now Snute's trying to defend once again, but he's only on 2 bases. PiLiPiLi is still only on 2 bases, so both these players dropping in income. And PiLiPiLi's actually mined out in his main base. He's going for some long distance mining. So Snute technically has a higher income right now, but if he can hang on by some... If Snute can hang on by some miracle, he may be able to come back in this game. But right now PiLiPiLi has a very scary army, and it's really just down to these two armies right now. Crocibel is raining down. Snute trying to hang on. It's looking very tough. Great force fields lock in some of those Ravagers, and every unit matters in this situation right now. Snute actually transfusing that Ravager, keeping it alive, but it seems that his hatchery is going to be picked off right now, and if that goes down, that's likely just going to be the killing blow for PiLiPiLi. PiLiPiLi eating a Baneling or two, but this situation isn't exactly getting better for Snute, but it seems Snute's just hanging on somehow. Floating gas is PiLiPiLi, so he's just warping in sentries as that's what he can afford right now. He's actually got an absurd sentry count. That's why Snute might be able to hang on, as PiLiPiLi doesn't actually have too much to do damage. It's mainly just 3 Immortals and 16 sentries, really. So not too much for PiLiPiLi. Snute might have been able to make a miracle hold here. He's been raining down Crocibels non-stop. There's not too much of a buffer. It's up to these last few Banelings now. It is going to be hard for Snute to get connections here. There is so many sentries, so many force fields that PiLiPiLi can spam. Drones being pulled here just to try and hang on. This base is still just alive, but barely. Crocibel's raining down once again. This game is a nail-biter, but if you look at the supply, PiLiPiLi is just sort of edging this one out slowly but surely. PiLiPiLi even long-distance mining at his third base, but both these players not really macroing too much, as it's sort of impossible when there's just Crocibels raining, one player shooting, the other player dodging right now. It seems that 3 Raptors get force fielded out by PiLiPiLi, and that's going to be GG, as PiLiPiLi manages to take down Snute in that game. That just Snute did a great job there trying to hold on, but ultimately it wasn't enough. I mean, a few extra units and he would have been able to hold on, but PiLiPiLi made that attack work. Very well done. So, if you guys have enjoyed this cast, and I know I just cast, this is my second game of PiLiPiLi versus the Zerg, and so far he's made it work. So very well done by PiLiPiLi in that game. It was certainly close down to it, though. If we look at PiLiPiLi's natural, basically no minerals left there. His third base creeped up. His potential other third base creeped up. So those two players were just fighting with what they had, and that was a nail biter of a game. So if you guys enjoyed the cast, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to leave a like. If you have any casting feedback, feel free to let me know. I'm always trying to improve. Otherwise, I shall see you guys next time.